paper, I brought some up here, and we'll probably need some paper, but I'll try to keep the same paper all throughout the exercise, so we're going to go through the appreciated activity. So, in my class, we make entry task notes, we also make learning target books. And entry task for the first few minutes of the day, you copy the date, you copy the entry task, and then you write a response. So take a couple minutes now, today's date, 6/28/13, entry task, name, and bio. And you can people in the back see, okay, thank you very much. While you're writing that down, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Chandler. I am the science chair. Okay, it's small school. I am the science department. At Eagle Alternative High School in Towson, Washington. I have been teaching there, well, this is my 7th year there. Prior to that, I taught ecology class at Harris University. And prior to that, I was a substitute teacher up in the Yakima Valley. I also did other odd jobs, but finally landed that fun job and signed over with a colleague, chemists and physicists and whatnot, but no, it was anything to sign up for it. Glad to be here. I appreciate other people coming up and saying, it's so nice to have a person, a writing teacher, English teacher. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, you should have something written down. Turn to a double partner and share your response.
Thanks. I apologize for talking too much yesterday, especially when other people were.
Okay, we're going to go together on 3, 2, 1. Now, there's an exercise called Give Me 5. And if you heard some of the terms around the room, you go, oh, I know what that is, I know what that is. My question to you, and is just this. If you name at least 5 biomes, I want to see 5 fingers when you vote. If you only heard 2 or 3 that you can recall, give me 3 or 2. If you don't know what a biome is and you still don't know what a biome is, feel free to give me 0. So, give me 5, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, honest people, good. All right, that means that over. Now, we put our entry task away, but I asked you at the time to go ahead and put your score and circle it. And this is for today's day. So this is what you know right now. If you were at 0, then you'd have something that looks like a bullseye. But if some people have 3 or 2, so go ahead and circle your score. We can come back to this later. Then I'd have them put their entry test books away and get their learning target books out. And so, we're just going to shift here. Healthy focus. Today's learning target, we have a couple. One is to compare and contrast biomes. And you'd be writing this down as I write it. And. Compare and contrast biomes. That's the science component. The literacy component is determine meaning. In words / phrases. And I'll give you a moment or two to copy that down. So our first, our science content, compare and contrast biomes. Second, literacy, determine meaning in words / phrases. We're going to look at some words and phrases and see if they mean what they say they mean, or mean what we think they mean. I forget. How far can I wander? Oh, I can't. But I mean, like back there.
I mean. Yes. You can wander, just keep that, just don't worry.
Oh, okay.
You'll get back to me.
And the reason I do it this way, at our school, we had the lab training, and the administrators wanted learning targets and objectives, you know, off the whiteboard someplace. But like this, my whiteboard is blocked by a screen. And so when we move on, and the administrator comes in, Franklin is here learning targets. Well, look at the kids, this learning target book. We wrote it in for today. Nice, get work. So if they're not there at the immediate part of the class, and well, but if they're there at the end of class, we revisit it, so they'll see it again. So it's a little trick I picked up so that, you know, the administrators feel confident or comfortable that I'm doing what they mandated. Okay. Compare the contrast bottom. Bless you. Tissues over there, or a tissue donor. I say that to my kids, especially the HP kids, they get kicked out. Okay, moving on. Eating in science lab. Today we're going to do a little bit of a pre-test. Test to acquire knowledge. No, it's not evil. I did this. Now, as I tell my kids, if you get anything right, it's bonus points. If you get anything wrong, it doesn't count against you. So it's a no-risk pre-test. I think what's right there. Okay, so this come together. Nice. Right down to 0. Very good. Fill the chart to show the distribution of biomes due to temperature and rainfall. Be sure to include the following biomes. You got desert. You can abbreviate with the letter D. Taiga, TA. Tundra, TU. Savanna, with the letter S. Temperate deciduous rainforest. Temp, EF. Temperate rainforest, temp, RF. Tropical deciduous forest, trop, DF. So I can spell temp and trop, otherwise we have TDF and we know what we're talking about. And tropical rainforest, trop, RF. You may write the names or abbreviations of the biome in the correct space. So I'll give you a few moments. Yeah. Grassland is not in your folks. I apologize. I didn't. So if you have an extra box, chances are grassland is probably right there.
That's a good question to ask. I think it is. I thought it's got his land from the ground. What's that? Oh. I'm still kind of filling it. Before I share my, I can get my.
Okay, how many kids in there are two? Oh. Remember, it's bonus points on themselves. High-based students are like, okay, in my class, we have a training break, and sometimes I break out the song. This training breathing time, this training breathing time. And I give them time to make sure everything's on their paper, they hand it to the other person, and then we go ahead and write it out in class. So write your own papers, and we're just going to go ahead and abbreviate this and get this going. But I'd ask around, who has an answer for number one, or this first walk on top? Yes, sir.
Tundra. T.
Okay, that was for me. So, Tundra. And what is this big block over here? What does that represent? Do we have an answer? Yeah. Or coniferous forest. All right. Yes, it's vertical block. It's the hottest, the driest, and people say it's desert. And show of hands. Next block over. Close. It's wetter than a desert, but it doesn't support trees like a savanna. Yeah, wetter than a desert. Grassland, prairie, yeah, there's all sorts of synonyms that go with it. Oh, and when somebody said, what was that? That nice S word. Savannah. Savannah is, they have a couple of trees growing there now, but it's still pretty hot. And hottest, wettest place on the planet, put an answer for that. Tropical rainforest. So we're going to put this over here. And so we have our extremes. We have the coldest place, we have the hottest, driest place, we have the hottest, wettest place. How about second to the hottest, wettest place? What would be beside the top of the rainforest? Any answers? Oh, very good. Tropical deciduous. And boy, can they see a pattern here?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. How about this block right here? Temperate deciduous forest, very good. Okay, and now we're done. So let your compulsive assessment, we have to, that last one fill in is temperate rainforest. And count number points correct, and back to the rightful owners. The rightful owners, some kids like to do this, they have a score sheet that I thought I brought that. So the kids can track themselves, and if we want to use worksheet, there's another way of scaffolding materials. And kids have feedback. So how many go? There we go. And the way I did this is what you get after you get your papers back.
Thanks.
Call it the tree test. For points, I put BP for bonus points, and then you go ahead and put your score. And we are environmental science. We're either the first part of the first semester, so we're environmental science 1, or we're the first grading period of the second semester, which is environmental science 2. This is about an hour and a half block class, so we just set up the lab and complete them before we have to go. So that's how we use the chart. At the bottom of the chart, I don't have a formula, but I do have divide the number of points we earned for the number of points possible, multiply that decimal by 100%, that's your percentages. And so, Frank, how am I doing in class? During your work? No. Okay, that's easy. Frank, how am I doing? I mean, look at your, assignment. So, assignment score sheet. So, this is just another little device I put in there, so kids can track themselves. All right, you got your feedback, you got it back. I go ahead and collect the papers and record the score and give them back to you. So that's what we do with the pre-test. And then we'll talk about how we're going to learn some biomes and how we're going to get the meaning from words and phrases. And we have so much to do. Yeah, because that real school. And SQPR is class strategy, and that's from Francis Robinson. And I've added some stuff to this. What I've added this last year was, remember your SQPR, we're more effective if you follow conventions and writing. That means you should. If you ever mentored or proctored an AFID PE, these are the instructions about an AFID PE. So if I'm proctoring the high school performance efficiency test for reading or writing, I thought, man, I don't want my kids to do this. And now they're taking AFID PE. And so one of the things I did in my reflective learning was, or reflective teaching was, I'm going to put that in there now so the kids will always see that. Please remember. So, if you haven't done a survey, or you haven't done an SQ3R, that's okay. I'm going to show you one real quick. I'm looking at 42.2, what conditions does life require? So it's this column, a little bit of this column, and I'm just going to show you how I can work this. The S stands for survey. So before I even start to read, I'm going to look over it. I see this big heading, what conditions does life require? It's a question. And I think, yeah, what does life require? Well, I mean, donuts and coffee in the morning, okay, and I get that confused. We're supposed to eat numerous small meals throughout the day rather than eating large meals throughout the day. But I get that confused and I eat numerous large meals throughout the day. but I use food. I love food. And this is from, Christmas and the holidays from 85, 86. I don't get that, I really do. I need energy. I need a place to live. Well, I'm already thinking there's some stuff I need. But, okay, so life, and I'm thinking, what do plants need? What do animals need? So there's that part. I see some bullets, I'm not going to read them. I see some plants that look alike. This has longer thorns than this one. And then, let's see, I see the word ecosystem, thermophilic, okay, I see some words there. I see a map, I see a chart up above, let me show you what I'm looking at. It looks like something to do with the wind and some sort of precipitation going on. We're on the east side of the Cascades, so some people might be maybe connected there. So that's my survey. And now, I mean, it's just a short little section, and the rest of the survey says, on a separate sheet of paper, on a separate sheet of paper, write, what do you think the text will be about? Hey, and go there, a little writing problem. And what did I do with my name? This happened in class too, where I say, what did I do with So I'm going to have my hand in the This is my assignment at SQR1, and it'll be due on the 4th of July. Okay, so on the question part number 1, I think the text will be about the conditions needed for living things to live. And that comes right from what conditions does life require? So that question prompted me to say, okay, that's what I think. What do you think you'll learn? Well, I came about that word. Thermophilic. I'll learn the conditions for life, or conditions needed for life, that I saw those 4 bullets. And perhaps the meaning of, maybe I should put like the Okay. So there's my survey. I came across the word that, and I also came across the bullets. Now, write down 10 questions you think the text can answer. Leave spaces for your response. So as I go through this, well, of course, number one, for my questions, I know sometimes I read like a pharmacist or a doctor. If I say what conditions are needed for life, I know there's going to be at least 4 parts. So maybe I'll rate something like, well, maybe what are conditions needed for life, and I have to keep a large space. And I know there's going to be 4 bullets, so, because I saw that there in my survey, so I was going to put 2. And then, now it's at this time I do my questions, I can look back at the text. And if I can say, like, well, maybe the text will tell me what energy is, maybe the text will tell me what nutrients are. And what are nutrients, what's energy? If there's anything in bold, and I don't see anything here in bold, but what is the community? I can ask that question. Maybe the text will tell me that or not, I don't know, but it's in there, so I can certainly pull it out and make a question. Now, I do not assign this one DB section and have kids write a 10 questions over it. It's usually a larger section, but for brevity, I picked this little session and I'm just showing you how I would go through and what's the thing with cactus? And then we'll find out that similar environments give us similar structures, although the organisms could be vastly different and not related closely. So lilies and lilacs, for example, they're both monocots, both different families, but sometimes they have a different shape of leaf, although their flowers are different. So I go through here and I make my questions, and then I go back and I make my questions, and then read, quickly focus on the important words. Now, I should have somewhere here what is thermophilic. And the kids, I tell you, the kids will kick themselves harder than you ever can. Because that's not one of my tier 2 words I'm going to use when we go through another exercise. But they will pick out the big tough words and they'll struggle with that one. But then I tend to pick tier 2 words and they're going to say, oh, I didn't have to know what thermophilic was. Yeah, but what did you learn? You learn how to research it, you learn how to question it, you learn how to find the answer. So, although you're not responsible to know what thermophilic is, and they won't be, they do have to know the process of finding out. So I read and I go, oh, okay, and then I write down my answers. We need nutrients, we need energy, and they don't have to be in order. I'll put, we need appropriate temperatures, which is kind of interesting since we're having a heat wave coming up. And then last but not least, we're going to need water in liquid form. And here we kind of had a discussion because when I taught nutrition, I thought that water was one class of nutrients, but the authors here keep water separate. And some people in nutrition class say, well, you said water and nutrients. And I said, well, how would you argue that? So they make their claims, so I have to argue it. And we're going to find there's other things to argue with you. There's more than one for against. So I go to my SWR, recite. So I go back over and I say, okay, do I know the 4 conditions for life? Let's see. We have to have an appropriate temperature. It can't be too hot, can't be too cold. Think of Goldilocks. And then the 4-H. We need to have a source of energy. For most ecosystems, it's the sunshine. Humans are kind of different. We're petroleum-based. But we still use materials. Oh, and then materials, parts of the environment, we use to build everything in our body. Those are called nutrients. And then water in liquid form, so that it can support the temperature of our bodies. And so I can elaborate on that I keep it. Because they say, well, this is liquid water, why liquid water? Well, you put ice cubes around a plant in the middle of winter, but that doesn't mean the water won't be into the plant. So, okay. then that part, and then there's your questions. And on my little sign here, fire review. What was the most interesting thing you read about? The most interesting thing I read about was that there are only 4 departments. Life is so complex, but it needs this 4 fundamental things. I find that interesting. That's me, right? You may find something else interesting, and that's okay. So, again, complete sentences, correct punctuation. So, my review, number 1. And then, most important, liquid water could be. I could say, well, I didn't know that liquid water is so important. It goes with my food, it keeps my metabolism going. Well, a new need, maybe thermophilic was a new word for me that I thought was interesting. And welcome to this information. That's my call for action, because most of the kids here said, I would use this information to score high on tests and quizzes. Number 1 response, I will use this information to get myself a better grade. Later on, it does change, however. We look at ecosystem, we start looking at environment, we start looking at environmental issues, and then there's more on, I'm going to tell others what I learned. There's a little bit of telling, not so much doing, but it does change. But at first, the first